Imagine walking through a dense forest, the sound of leaves crunching under your feet, and the distant call of birds echoing around you. Suddenly, you come across an exotic-looking plant with long, spiky leaves standing out among the thick vegetation. At first glance, it seems ordinary. But would you believe me if I told you that this type of plant tends to grow in places where diamonds might be hidden underground? These plants, known as indicator species, have the incredible ability to reveal the presence of valuable minerals within the soil. In other words, if you find this plant growing in your backyard or somewhere nearby, it could be guarding a secret that has the potential to change your life forever. This plant is called Pandanus candelabrum, and it's not the only one. In fact, there are several others that act as natural indicators of diamond-rich soil, thriving exclusively in areas where kimberlite, a rare volcanic rock known for carrying high-quality diamonds, can be found. But how is that even possible? How could a simple plant help reveal the presence of one of the most valuable gemstones in the world? And more importantly, what are the other plants with this same incredible ability? Well, that's exactly what we're going to explore in today's video. You'll discover how nature itself can become a powerful ally in the quest for hidden treasures, learning how to identify these unique species and understand why they grow only in locations rich in rare minerals like diamonds. So get ready, because for the first time, you're about to see how our team of scientists here on the channel managed to combine botany, geology, and a real sense of adventure. The plants you're about to learn about could lead you to treasures beyond your imagination. And if you've ever dreamed of living a real-life Indiana Jones treasure hunt, this video is made just for you. But where did this brilliant idea of using plants to identify diamonds in the soil actually come from? It all started across the Atlantic, in the heart of West Africa, where dense tropical forests stretch over ancient lands shaped by geological forces that go back hundreds of millions of years. For decades, nothing seemed out of the ordinary, until one unassuming plant quietly caught the attention of the global scientific community. Its name? Pandanus candelabrum. The spiky, towering plant, with long blade-shaped leaves arranged in a spiral pattern much like a palm tree, had long gone unnoticed, blending in with thousands of native species in the region. But in 2015, something changed. Geologist and diamond expert Stephen Haggerty from Florida International University made a curious observation. This plant never appeared just anywhere. Every time it showed up, geologic surveys revealed a striking pattern. There was always a kimberlite pipe buried beneath its roots. Haggerty, who had previously worked with the United States Geological Survey and is recognized as one of the world's leading specialists in diamond prospecting, became intrigued by the frequency of this correlation. After many years of field research in Liberia, he finally confirmed the link between the Pandanus candelabrum and the presence of kimberlite, the volcanic rock known as the primary host for natural diamonds. It was the first time a plant had ever been identified as a direct bioindicator of kimberlite, and by extension, a potential guide to finding precious stones. Now, if you're not familiar with kimberlite, here's a simple explanation. These are funnel-shaped geological structures that originate over 150 kilometers deep in the earth. During rare volcanic eruptions, kimberlite pipes transport diamonds formed in the Earth's mantle all the way to the surface. They don't create diamonds themselves. They serve as natural elevators, carrying high-pressure carbon crystals upward until they cool and solidify near the crust. Over millions of years, these rocks break down, releasing trace minerals into the soil. And that's exactly the kind of soil that attracts the Pandanus candelabrum. As kimberlite decomposes, it enriches the surrounding ground with magnesium, potassium, phosphorus, calcium, and even nickel, nutrients that this unique plant thrives on. It doesn't just tolerate those elements, it depends on them. In ordinary soil, it simply won't grow. It's as if this species evolved specifically to survive in the same places where diamonds might be hiding. So this kind of behavior is very rare. Most vegetation adapts to a wide range of conditions, but Pandanus candelabrum has tied its survival directly to underground geology. That evolutionary decision makes it an incredibly powerful tool for geologists, explorers, and gemstone prospectors alike. After all, Locating a kimberlite body under layers of forest and soil is extremely difficult and expensive. But when a plant becomes a natural beacon pointing directly to a potential diamond deposit, everything changes. It's important to remember that kimberlite doesn't produce diamonds. It just transports them. These gemstones form deep in the mantle under immense pressure and heat, where carbon slowly crystallizes over billions of years. For these crystals to reach the surface, they need a ride. That ride comes in the form of a very specific and rare volcanic eruption that pushes up a column of kimberlite shaped like an inverted carrot. Once it reaches the surface, the rock cools, hardens, and eventually begins to erode, spreading valuable trace elements throughout the surrounding soil. And it's this mineral-rich ground, shaped by a unique geological process, that attracts Pandanus candelabrum. Even without spotting the kimberlite directly, finding this plant can be a reliable sign that there's something valuable hidden below. In other words, if you come across this species in an area with the right geologic profile, you might just be standing on diamond-bearing soil without even realizing it. But Pandanus candelabrum is not the only plant with this extraordinary behavior. In fact, researchers have documented at least 5 other species that also seem to grow preferentially on soils formed by kimberlite or with a nearly identical mineral profile. Each of them, in its own way, has adapted to survive in these rare conditions, becoming a kind of natural compass for anyone searching for hidden diamonds. And the next plant on our list is a truly fascinating one, often overlooked for its simple appearance, but carrying a name that hints at something much bigger. Laganocarpus adamantinus, also known as diamond grass. The small herbaceous grass with its fine, delicate leaves might seem like just another ordinary plant covering the fields. However, for geologists and botanists trained to recognize subtle environmental clues, the presence of this plant in certain areas can be the very first sign that kimberlite, and possibly diamonds, might be hiding just below the surface. This unique variety has been studied in greater depth by Brazilian researchers, especially in regions like the Cerrado and the highlands of central Brazil. These studies were part of major projects like Barbacinia and academic research conducted by the University of Brasilia and the Federal University of Minas Gerais. Laganocarpus adamantinus has a highly specific ecological preference. It naturally occurs only in certain types of rocky outcrops, particularly those derived from quartzite or, even more significantly, from weathered kimberlite bodies. In other words, it acts as a pioneer colonizer, one of the first representatives of the native flora to settle in areas where the surface shows signs of ancient geological shifts involving kimberlite exposure, something extremely rare. What makes this species even more interesting for gemstone prospecting is its specialized nutritional needs. Botanical studies show that diamond grass thrives best in soils naturally enriched with high levels of magnesium, potassium, and phosphorus, the very minerals released as kimberlite weathers over thousands of years. It also seems to tolerate and even prefer soils containing significant amounts of nickel and iron, 2 elements commonly found in ultramafic rocks like kimberlite. In poorer soils, or those lacking this specific chemical profile, this species struggles to survive and tends to grow in small, stunted patches. Ecologically speaking, this representative of the regional flora has an extremely limited distribution. It grows in small clusters and rarely forms extensive vegetative mats, which makes its presence even more significant when detected during field surveys. In fact, in certain regions of Brazil, Laganocarpus adamantinus is considered a vulnerable species due to its narrow habitat range and the ongoing degradation of its natural environment. It usually appears in rocky clearings or along the edges of quartzite formations, where low-growing vegetation predominates. And it's precisely in these spots where, with careful observation and sample collection, experts often find traces of kimberlite and occasionally loose diamond fragments transported over time by erosion. The significance of this small but mighty plant has even been recognized by researchers in remote sensing and geoecological modeling. Teams from Embrapa and the Geological Survey of Brazil have included Laganocarpus adamantinus in national vegetation databases used to guide diamond exploration campaigns. By combining flora mapping with satellite imagery and geological surveys, they help uncover hidden natural gemstone deposits in some of the most remote and unexplored regions. Another plant that deserves special attention when it comes to the presence of diamonds in the soil is Schwartzia adamantium, commonly known as Mel-de-Arara. This species is a shrub or small tree that can reach up to 4 meters in height, with a twisted trunk that looks as if it has been shaped by time itself. At first glance, it might go unnoticed, but for researchers studying the flora of Brazil's Cerrado in the Central Plateau regions, it plays a crucial role in the complex puzzle of mineral prospecting. Studies conducted by botanists at the University of Brasilia and the Federal University of Goiás show that this plant tends to occur primarily in shallow, well-drained soils that are rich in minerals like magnesium and iron, the very same kind of soil that typically forms from the surface weathering of kimberlite pipes. Although Schwartzia adamantium is less selective about its substrate than Pandanus candelabrum, it still shows a strong preference for environments where these key nutrients are abundant. This behavior makes it a valuable indirect indicator for diamond exploration and geological investigations targeting kimberlite formations. Finding Mel-de-Arara alone doesn't guarantee the presence of diamonds. However, when this plant appears alongside other geological and botanical signs, it significantly strengthens the case for the existence of a nearby kimberlite pipe. Continuing our journey through the plants that can reveal the presence of diamonds, we now arrive at Barbacinia ambrosioids. At first glance, this small plant doesn't seem particularly remarkable. With its slender stems and flowers that range from yellow to deep red, it looks like just another common species scattered across the fields of central Brazil. But beneath its modest appearance, Barbacinia ambrosioids hides a secret, one that has caught the attention of teams of botanists from the Federal University of Minas Gerais. This plant, a member of the Veloia family, thrives in soils that are poor in organic matter, but rich in specific minerals such as magnesium, iron, and phosphorus, the very nutrients that accumulate in areas where kimberlite has decomposed over centuries. Barbacinia has become a true specialist in sandy and rocky soils, preferring locations where exposed rock surfaces hint at ancient geological processes beneath. While it doesn't have as direct and exclusive an association with kimberlite pipes as Pandanus candelabrum does, the presence of Barbacinia ambrosioids in remote areas is still a strong indicator that the soil has undergone significant chemical changes that are often linked to the presence of diamond-bearing rocks. In regions where the native flora remains relatively undisturbed, spotting this plant can serve as a small but important signal for gemstone hunters who know what to look for. Among the plants that can reveal hidden secrets beneath the ground, Veloia holds a very special place. Affectionately known as the cinnamon gem, this plant is easily recognized by its delicate white and purple flowers that emerge between tough, resilient leaves, perfectly adapted to survive in some of the harshest terrains. Despite its beauty, Veloia is a true survivor, thriving in soils that are extremely poor in organic matter, but exceptionally rich in minerals like magnesium and phosphorus, both signature elements released during the decomposition of kimberlite. Researchers from the University of Brasilia and the Federal University of Ouro Preto were among the first to highlight that certain species within the Veloia genus, particularly those found in Brazil's Cerrado region, tend to occur in areas where the soil has been altered by ancient kimberlite activity. Thanks to its remarkable resistance to acidic and rocky soils, Veloia is one of the few plant species capable of flourishing on exposed rock surfaces, areas where kimberlite formations often discreetly reach the surface. While finding a Veloia on its own isn't enough to confirm the presence of diamonds, its occurrence alongside other known indicator species significantly boosts the chances that the ground has a favorable geological origin. In regions where the landscape remains relatively untouched by human activity, spotting clusters of these resilient plants can be a silent yet powerful clue that valuable minerals and perhaps even natural diamond deposits are hidden just beneath the surface. Just like Nora Guianensis, a delicate-looking climbing plant with a surprising connection to diamond-rich regions. Often referred to as the diamond plant, this species features horizontal branches, reddish roots along the stem, and a tendency to spread across dry, rocky soils. While it's widely distributed throughout tropical areas of South America, in some locations its presence aligns closely with soils where kimberlite has already been confirmed. Unlike the other plants we've mentioned, Nora Guianensis doesn't rely exclusively on kimberlite-rich soils to thrive. Still, its vigorous growth in volcanic terrains, or in areas with high levels of phosphorus and magnesium, often raises eyebrows among experienced geologists. That's because it tends to show up in regions with the same chemical composition found in known diamond-bearing zones. Although Brazilian universities have led most of the published research on this species, Nora Guianensis has also appeared in botanical catalogs from the Royal Botanic Gardens in the UK and the Missouri Botanical Garden in the United States, mainly in studies related to biodiversity and ecological adaptation. Out in the field, the presence of this plant alone might not set off any alarms. But when it shows up alongside other diamond indicator species, it sends a clear message. It's definitely worth taking a closer look at the ground beneath your feet. Once you've identified one of these plants out in the field, the next step is to take a closer look at the ground, and you don't need expensive equipment to do that. You can start with simple actions like collecting loose gravel samples or scanning the area for unusual rock fragments. In some cases, natural erosion may have already exposed tiny pieces of kimberlite or even minerals commonly associated with diamonds, such as pyrope garnet, ilmenite, or spinel. With a bit of patience and a sharp eye, it's possible to find small crystals that were carried by time and water to riverbanks, hillsides, or open clearings. Now let's say you actually find a crystal near one of these plants. How do you know if it's really a diamond? That's easily one of the most common questions we get. Yet the answer is not as simple as it seems. There are many other gemstones that can look just like diamonds. Clear quartz, natural zircon, colorless topaz, and even white sapphires can fool even experienced eyes. The truth is, many of these stones have a strong shine and a raw appearance that makes them almost identical to real rough diamonds. And that's where the real risk begins. Because if you try to sell that stone without knowing what it really is, someone could easily offer you far less than it's worth, or even tell you it's worthless. This kind of thing happens all the time, especially to beginners who don't yet know what they're holding. And that's exactly why I created the ebook, Gemology Journey for Beginners. This guide was designed for people who want to identify the gemstones they find in nature, even without professional tools or advanced technical knowledge. Inside the ebook, you'll learn how to perform simple at-home tests to figure out whether your stone is a diamond or another valuable gem. You'll also learn how to recognize associated minerals, how to evaluate hardness, density, luster, and even how to spot signs of fakes. It's like having a gemologist in your pocket, ready to help every time you find something that might be special. And if you're one of the first 10 people to access it today, you'll also get an exclusive 50% discount on the final price. And if you already follow the channel, you know this kind of knowledge can make all the difference between getting scammed or closing a fair and profitable deal with confidence. And the best part, if you're one of the first 10 people to access it today, you'll also get an exclusive 50% discount on the final price. And if you already follow the channel, you know this kind of knowledge can make all the difference between getting scammed or closing a fair and profitable deal with confidence. So don't wait, click the link in the description and grab your copy right now. And of course, if now's not the time and you just want to keep learning more about precious stones, you can become a channel member for a symbolic amount or simply subscribe and keep watching our next videos completely free. Speaking of which, don't miss the next one already showing up on your screen. Thanks for liking and for being part of this amazing community that keeps growing every day. Good luck, Gem Hunter.